There were moments that I didn't even realize that I was punishing her. There were moments that I didn't even realize that I was punishing her. Not at first. I thought I was just teaching her a lesson or setting the tone. But looking back and really looking at it, it wasn't about discipline. It wasn't about boundaries. It was all about control. It was me leveraging silence like a weapon because her voice, her questions, her needs made me feel exposed, sometimes even weak, vulnerable. And I hated that. Like she'd bring something up, some behavior of mine that crossed the line or something that didn't sit right. And almost immediately I'd want to go cold. Like not just cold, just freezing. Like I'd stop responding. I'd give short answers. I'd avoid eye contact. I'd avoid everything. I want to make sure that she knew I was withdrawing, but I never explained why. I just vanished emotionally, sometimes just walking out the door. Left her twisting in discomfort and confused. And I told myself she deserved it because she tried to criticize me. She tried to attack me. That's the first thing I did. Withhold. Not just words, but withholding affection, attention, information, touch. Anything that gave her connection, I started to cut that off. Not always loudly, but sometimes quietly, sometimes strategically, because that's what you do to destabilize someone without raising your voice. And it sounds clean, it's quiet, but it's brutal. And I made her feel like she was the problem, like she was the issue, that she was too needy, too clingy, too much. And I watched her crumble piece by piece, trying to fix something that she couldn't even understand. Like she'd make dinner and I wouldn't eat it. She asked me a question, I ignored her. That's when she tried to ask what was wrong. I'd throw it a flat like nothing, like a grenade. She never knew if I'd stay or if I'd go. She stayed stuck inside of survival mode 24/7. And honestly, that gave me a piece of power over her. Power that I wasn't willing to admit that I needed, but I craved it all at the same time. Then there was rage. It wasn't always about my go-to and the piece that I needed to do, but I liked doing it to control and to train her. That when I snapped, it was ugly. There was no ramp up. There was just pressure, 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 then boom. Explosions over sometimes the smallest things. Her tone, her timing, the fact that she even had the audacity to bring something up. And when I lost it, she'd shrink, like visibly shrink away. It wasn't just about being angry, it was about resetting the room. It was making sure that she and anyone else nearby knew that I had more power. And it worked every single time. After I'd find her walking on eggshells, I'd find her apologizing for things that weren't even her fault and trying to avoid triggering me again. That's how I would train her. That's how I would control. And here's the sick part in this. I felt better when she did that. Like it'd feel like I'd won something, like I had control back, like I was protecting me is what I had to shift my mind into. Like when I wasn't yelling or silent, I turned into sarcastic, passive aggressive. Like I was great at that. That was constant. I'd be like, I'm just joking. When I jabbed at her about being the dramatic one or I mocked her about needing help, like I'd throw out little barbs, little tiny cuts to hurt her, always like a smirk or a shrug just so I could deny that I even did damage. And if she asked me for a ride or help with something small, like I'd just sigh loud enough for the whole world and the whole street to hear of like, sure, because I have nothing better to do than be your personal assistant. Small things. She'd freeze, she'd laugh nervously, she'd try to pretend that it didn't sting, that it didn't hurt. And if she pushed back, I'd say, well, you're being too sensitive. That was the trap that I created. I created the wound, then mocked her for bleeding. I created the pain, then mocked her for feeling. Sometimes I'd take it further, and this would be inside of humiliation. That wasn't accidental. Like I knew what I was doing. She'd bring up stories that she didn't want told, especially in front of other people. I'd drop embarrassing moments like they were jokes. I'd say things like they were just like missiles attacking her. Or should I tell them how you cried over a voicemail last week? And then act like I was just being playful, like I was just being funny. But she'd be mortified and I'd play it off. But in reality, I was staking my dominance in front of others, showing her and them that I hold the power, even in the most private moments. And then there was the public exposure, sharing gossip that she'd confided in me, twisting it just enough to hurt, but not enough to be obviously cruel, letting her watch relationships unravel because of something I said, something that she trusted me, And I'd sit back and I'd watch the fallout like it had nothing to do with me. I was the one behind the scenes pulling the levers. Smear campaigns, I did that too. Quietly making sure other people saw her in a different light. I'd phrase things just right. Never outright lies, just enough indoctrination and implication to plant seeds of doubt in other people's world. She's been really off lately. I'm really concerned about how emotional she gets. I don't think she got her coffee today. Like, she's kind of aggressive. And people believed me because I was calm. I was measured. I was reasonable. She looked crazy because she was reacting in pain. Well, I wore a mask that just had composure. Like, I made her feel like she was the crazy one, like she overreacted, the unstable one. But it was all orchestrated, my control in disguise, taking charge of the whole story. And there was threats. Like, I didn't always come out and say them, but I'd let her know that I was watching. I'd reference places that she went, things that I knew without even being told, and use silence like a noose, slowly tightening, slowly suffocating her. And if she pushed back, I'd remind her that I had screenshots, I had emails, I had messages. I made sure she knew I could burn everything down if I wanted to. Power and control and leverage. I never hit her. I didn't have to. I weaponized her peace, her privacy, her perception of safety, and when I moved on, the performance I put on, I flaunted everything. I need to show, hey, I'm doing okay. Hey, I've got it all together. I'm happier than ever. Like, I wanted her to see that she was the problem, that she wasn't enough. I could be suddenly kind and loving to someone else, to a fair partner, to someone else I moved in with, like, all to try to make sure that she would see it was her fault. But what I really wanted was to make sure that she stayed broken, because if she healed, if she saw me for what I was, then I would lose that control over my image. That's all I've ever been trying to hold on to, is control of the image. Because underneath all of it, I've always felt unlovable, unworthy, terrified that someone actually see me of who I actually am, the monster that's actually underneath. And now I know the only way out for her and for anyone who's been where she was is to walk away from the cycle. To walk away intentionally, powerfully, someone that's reclaiming their life one steady step at a time. But here's the part that messes with your mind is sometimes I punished her with nothing but charm. Let that sink in. Like, I'd flip the switch, and 1 minute I'm withholding everything. The next minute I'm laughing with her, complimenting her, making her feel like she's finally gotten through to me. And she'd light up. She'd be excited. She thought we made progress, that we were moving forward, that we were connected. She thought maybe things were different now. I'd see hope in her eyes. And that's when I knew that I had her locked in again. I wasn't doing it to fix things. I was doing it to reset the clock so that the next time I needed to punish her, it would hit harder. That's what makes the punishment so effective. It wasn't always fire. It was inconsistency, the back and forth, the confusion. That's the point of the punishment. Like, if I kept her off balance and then I stayed in control. And that control felt like oxygen. Even if it was suffocating her, at least I was the one breathing. I was the one in control. That's what my mind was saying. And the ultimate move was just making her doubt her own reality. Like, she might even said, "You're punishing me." And I'd be like, "What are you even talking about?" I'd make her explain herself, make her justify her feelings, walk me through every moment of tension, being like, "That's not how it happened." Then I'd poke holes in it. I'd twist it. I'd make sure that she understood that she wasn't thinking logical, make her feel foolish of like, "You're reading so much into anything. Like, I can't believe you'd bring that up. I've just been tired. Like, you're the one who's been off lately. Do you see how you react?" And she'd walk away from conversations feeling like she was the problem, and I would feel powerful. Not because I was right, but because I made her feel wrong, and I felt less wrong. I pushed it off to someone else. I didn't feel shame and guilt. You want to know how punishment works in narcissistic relationships? It's not about the crime. It's about the wound. It's about the ego injury. The second she exposed my flaws, even gently, even kindly, I bled internally. And instead of tending to the wounds like a grown man, I had to make her pay for it so I didn't have to deal with myself. Like, every need she that expressed felt like it was an attack on me. It was beating me up. Every boundary, well, that's a betrayal. So I had to punish her again and again and again, not because she hurt me, but she made me feel human, and I didn't know how to deal with that. There's one time where we were struggling, we were on the rocks, and she started pulling away. Like, talking about needing space, talking about maybe we should separate. And I knew this time she was serious. And there was a piece of me that I could have addressed it, but I was like, no, I'm not going to deal with it. So I just attacked her. I just worked on slowly bringing her down over and over. And I would do different things to provoke her. And she'd see these things, she'd be like, wait a second, who are you texting? Why are you doing this? I'd be like, why are you so insecure? You're leaving anyways. Like, why does it matter? I knew what I was doing. It was revenge. She was trying to take her power back, and I was punishing her for it by bringing someone else in the picture. Even if it meant using another person in that process to confuse her and to make her feel bad. That's the thing you have to understand. When you're that deep into it, the narcissistic mindset turns everything you have into a weapon. Time, attention, words, people, like it's all ammunition for him to have control over you. So when she really started to heal, I could feel it. I could energetically sense it. The calls slowed down, the texts, like they weren't desperate anymore. She stopped trying to explain what was happening. That's when I started to panic, because if she didn't need my approval, I didn't have a lever over her. I didn't have a hold over her. So I had to start, how do I reel her back in? Sending her the, hey, I'm just thinking about you. The text of like, I miss what we had. The pictures of like, remember when we had this time? Like, I'm in therapy now. Like, why can't you see I'm growing, I'm changing, using memories, songs, inside jokes, anything that might shake her. And if she didn't respond, I had to escalate from sad to cold to angry. Because then when they stop dancing to your approval, it exposes how empty you are underneath it all. And I didn't want to admit that I was empty. And that emptiness inside is terrifying. We call it like the void, the piece inside of me that no person can fill. So I have to learn to heal it. So I didn't want to deal with it. So I'd be like, oh, let me just reach out. That didn't work. Let me lash out. Let me post something cryptic. Let me reach out to mutual friends. Let me play the victim. Let me go find someone else to be with. Painting my wife as like cold, heartless, selfish, not because she was, but because I couldn't stand that she was strong enough to walk away. Like I knew if I couldn't have and own her attention, I'd settle for her fear. If I couldn't make her love me again, I'd settle for her just doubting herself again, just to stay. You see, punishment inside of a narcissistic relationship isn't about justice. It's about consequence. It's about leverage. It's about making sure that I have something. It's a sick transaction. I give you pain, you give submission. I show cruelty, you show up with desperation. And I masked all of this in a distortive narrative in my head of like, I'm a good person. I told myself I was reacting, not instigating. She triggered me. She wasn't grateful. She didn't try hard enough. That she was impossible to please. And that was the narrative, to give me permission to keep punishing her over and over and over, because I had to play the victim. Because if I was the victim, then everything that I was doing was justified. I was just reacting. I was just responding. And maybe the darkest part inside of this is I punished her when she stayed. And I punished her when she tried to leave. There was no getting away from it. There's no winning, because the moment she took any power back for herself, I saw that as a threat. And I had to crush that. It was back and forth, no matter what. Even if it meant crushing her spirit, even if it meant crushing her soul, I was like, no, you have to make sure you stay. And I'd punish her for that. She'd wrestle with these decisions back and forth that should have been simple, of like, should I leave? Should I go? Should I talk to a friend? Should I order this food? Like, I knew it wasn't about those things. It was about her being trained by me to question her own choices. Because when someone is constantly punished for having needs or using their voice, they eventually just stop speaking. They stop choosing. They stop existing as a full person, and you're able to condition and control them. And that's how I preferred it. Someone who is silent, someone who is small, someone who's dependent on me. It's hard to admit, but I didn't love her. Not in the way that love is supposed to look. I love what she gave me. Devotion or energy or attention. I loved the mirror she held up when she believed in me, but I didn't protect her. I didn't nurture her. I didn't create safety for her. I created fear, anxiety, exhaustion, stress. And now after everything, I realized the most cowardly piece inside of this, the most cowardly thing I ever did, was punish the person who wanted to love me well. The truth is, if you're with someone like I was, someone like I've been, you will be punished. Not for hurting him, but for existing too brightly, for asking too much, for reminding him of his own void. The punishment will be constant, even when it's silent, and especially when it's silent. He's going to do this over and over and over. And the part that still impacts, the part that still guts me, is the way that she would look at me when I punished her. Sometimes she'd flinch before I'd even raise my voice because she knew it was coming. Like, she tried to fix it. She tried to bring me coffee. She tried to text me sweet things, over-explain why she said something that set me off. She was always anticipating the hit, even when I hadn't thrown it yet. And that anticipation, that constant anxiety and stress, that's what really stuck. Because that meant my punishment didn't have to be loud anymore. I trained her well enough that my silence was just as effective. There's one time where she tried to give me feedback. Not criticism, just something simple of like, hey, it really hurts when you do this. It really hurts when you act this way. It really hurts when you pay attention to this girl. And even when she said that, her voice had to be cautious, had to be soft, and I'd still feel it. Like there'd be this rage of like, I don't want to deal with the shame. Not because she was wrong about it, but because she was right. And I didn't want to deal with it. Like I hated that she was right. I hated the mirror. I hated that she was showing it, so I had to punish her the best way I knew. Let me rage out. Let me get upset. Let me pull back emotionally so that she would feel guilty for pushing me away, being like, this is your fault. Making her apologize for asking for communication. Making her apologize for simple needs. That's what it becomes, a war on reality. And I kept escalating that war because it was easier than owning the truth. Owning that I've been the one eroding her confidence, that I've been the one that's been breaking her down over and over. And the most toxic piece about this is I'd sprinkle in just enough kindness to keep her wondering if maybe it's not that bad. Just enough charm to make her hesitate. It's not actually abuse, it's just complicated. Just enough hope to make her stay one more day. And if she ever got close to leaving, I'd dangle change in front of her of like, I'm working on myself. I've been in therapy. I've had a breakthrough. Don't you see what I've done? And maybe I believed that in the moment, but deep down I hadn't changed. Nothing was different. I just didn't want to lose her as a supply. I didn't want to lose control of the narrative. I didn't want to be the bad guy. I didn't want to be left with silence to expose how I really felt inside. So I had to tell myself and believe that I loved her. But the truth is, I loved the version of her that didn't challenge me, that didn't ask for accountability, let me do what I wanted to do, that didn't try to heal, because once she started to heal, she would see through me. And when she saw through me, that's when I would panic. And I'd have to punish. That's what I said in my head. I have to punish her because she's leaving. I have to punish her because she's betraying me. Again and again and again. I had to justify it every step of the way so I didn't feel bad about myself. I had to feel good about the fact that I was doing this. Like I said, she was cold. I said she was unstable. I started just making things up. Like I got mutual friends to doubt her. I threw trauma back into her face. I called her dramatic, selfish, needy, crafted a whole world where I was the calm, logical one just trying to make it work. And she was the one who was unhinged, a mess that just ruined everything. But all it was another lie, another story that I was selling to other people. The truth is, I punished her because I didn't know how to let her be whole and still feel loved by her. I punished her because I didn't know how to sit with my shame of what I'd done. I punished her because power felt like a threat, and when really it was an invitation to go somewhere deeper, I wasn't willing to do that. I was too broken to accept it. I was too unwilling to acknowledge my shame and guilt and work through it. And I don't say this now to clear my conscience. I say this because as someone out there, maybe you is being punished in the same exact way. And you're telling yourself that it's your fault. That you could have just said it differently, or you needed to say it less, or you stayed quieter. Like maybe it wouldn't be so hard. But it would. Because the punishment doesn't have anything to do about you. It has to do with him. How fragile and terrified he is underneath all the anger and coldness. How he doesn't know how to feel without being in control. How he doesn't know how to receive love without power and control over you. And if you're in it right now, you need to hear this loud and clear. You don't deserve to be punished for having a heart, for needing safety, for asking for basic decency. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not weak. You're not weak for wanting just to make it work. You're trying to love someone who's weaponizing your love against you, who's switching it back on you, who's abusing you with it, and that is not love. It's not even a partnership. It's not even a relationship. It's a situationship. That's a prison that you're currently in. Like I used to think that I could love someone and still punish them. I thought love was control. As long as I brought flowers once in a while, or I said the right thing once in a while, then that canceled out the damage. It annulled it. Like it wasn't even a big deal, but it didn't. What canceled out the damage was her walking away and healing. Her finding her voice again. Her understanding who she actually was apart from me. Her spending the time to heal, break the trauma bond, get rid of the triggers. And that didn't happen overnight, but it happened once she separated. It took her stumbling through it, backtracking, questioning herself, grieving the version of me that she wanted to believe in. But when she got there and she stopped reacting, she stopped explaining, she stopped begging, she started healing. She got to the place where she got quiet, not because she was scared anymore, but because she was just done. There's no point. The silence was probably one of the loudest things I'd ever heard. So if you're listening to this and something inside of you is breaking, let it. Let the anger rise up in this moment. Let sadness move. Let the truth finally lead. You've been punished over and over for being a human being with needs, a voice, and a soul. It's time to stop accepting that version as love. You don't have to stay in survival mode. You don't have to keep walking on eggshells, wondering when the next shoe's going to drop. There's a way out. And no, it's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it. Your healing isn't about fixing him. It's about reclaiming you. So if you're ready to take the next step, if you're tired of the punishment, if you're tired of the confusion that I've described, if you're tired of feeling like you're always the one who has to bend, then let's have a conversation. You don't have to do this alone. What I do inside of this is help women actually find closure, the confidence, the clarity to move forward in their freedom, and to walk you through the transformational steps that have shifted my world, my relationships, so you can find freedom as well. You can comment the word breakthrough below. I'll send you a private link to book a free strategy session with me, so you can understand, so you can see what's actually happening, so we can list it out, so you have tools, so you have something that actually helps guide you. This is your moment to start choosing peace over punishment. Your voice matters. Healing matters. You matter. And it's time for you to stop apologizing for that. So drop a comment breakthrough down below and I'll send you a link. You've been told it's all your fault and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Schedule a call there and let's talk.